Hi there, it's March 17th and time for day 77 of Through the Bible in 1 year. We're still in Deuteronomy. We're 21 through 23 today. All right, 3 chapters. And it's more laws and laws and laws and laws and laws. And to be honest, if it wasn't for the Through the Bible in 1 year, I would probably skip over a lot of this stuff, but you guys will keep me honest, so we can go through the entire Bible in 1 year. So let's get to it. I gotta find that screen. There we go. So let's begin. When you're in the land the Lord your God is giving you, someone may be found murdered in a field, and you don't know who committed the murder. In such a case, your elders and judges must measure the distance from the site of the crime to the nearby towns. When the nearest town has been determined, that town's elders must select from the herd a heifer that has never been trained or yoked to a plow. They must lead it down to a valley that has not been plowed or planted and that has a stream running through it. There in the valley they must break the heifer's neck. Wow, the heifer didn't do anything. Then the Levitical priest must step forward, for the Lord your God has chosen them to minister before him and to pronounce blessings in the Lord's name. They are to decide all legal and criminal cases. Wow. The elders of the town must wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken, and they must say, "Our hands did not shed this person's blood, nor did we see it happen. O Lord, forgive your people Israel, whom you have redeemed. Do not charge your people with the guilt of murdering an innocent person." Then they will be absolved of the guilt of this person's blood. By following these instructions, you will do what is right in the Lord's sight and will cleanse the guilt of murder from your community. Wow. That's a lot, huh? Marriage to a captive woman. Suppose you go out to war against your enemies and the Lord your God hands them over to you and you take some of them as captives. And suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman and you are attracted to her and want to marry her. If this happens, you may take her to your home where she must shave her head, cut her nails, and change the clothes she was wearing when she was captured. She will stay in your home, but let her mourn for her father and mother for a full month. Then you may marry her, and you will be her husband, and she will be your wife. But if you marry her and she does not please you, you must let her go free. You may not sell her or treat her as a slave, for you have humiliated her. Wow. Shave the head should be humiliation enough, huh? Rights of the firstborn. Suppose a man has 2 wives, but he loves one and not the other, and both have given him sons, and suppose the firstborn son is the son of the wife he does not love. When the man divides his inheritance, he may not give the larger inheritance to his younger son, the son of the wife he loves, as if he were the firstborn son. He must recognize the rights of his oldest son, the son of the wife he does not love, by giving him a double portion. He is the first son of his father's virility, and the rights of the firstborn belong to him. Right. How do you deal with that? Don't have 2 wives. Okay? That's easy. Dealing with a rebellious son. Let's see how they did it back in the day, huh? Suppose a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who will not obey his father or mother, even though they discipline him. In such a case, the father and the mother must take the son to the elders as they hold court at the town gate. The parents must say to the elders, "This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious and refuses to obey. He's a glutton and a drunkard." Then all the men of his town must stone him to death. Holy cow. In this way, you will purge the evil from among you, and all Israel will hear about it and be afraid. Yeah, I'll say. "I'm going to make your kids behave, or I'll kill you." You would think that would be enough to make them behave, right? Huh. Man. If someone has committed a crime worthy of death and is executed and hung on a tree, various regulations, the body must not remain hanging from the tree overnight. You must bury the body the same day. For anyone who is hung on a tree is cursed in the sight of God. In this way, you will prevent the defilement of the land the Lord your God is giving you as your special possession. If you see your neighbor's ox or sheep or goat wandering away, don't ignore your responsibility. Take it back to its owner. If its owner does not live nearby or you don't know who the owner is, take it to your place and keep it until the owner comes looking for it. Then you must return it. Do the same if you find your neighbor's donkey, clothing, or anything else your neighbor loses. Don't ignore your responsibility. You get that? If you see that your neighbor's donkey or ox has collapsed on the road, do not look the other way. Go and help your neighbor get it back on its feet. Right. A woman must not put on men's clothing, and a man must not wear women's clothing. This gets used a lot now. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. You got that? Let's read that again. You know, that's Deuteronomy, or is this Deuteronomy? Yeah, Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. Not me saying it, it's Bible. A woman must not put on men's clothing, and a man must not wear women's clothing. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. There you go. Written in the Word. If you happen to find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, and there are young ones or eggs in it, with the mother sitting in the nest, do not take the mother with the young. You may take the young, but let the mother go, so that you may prosper and enjoy a long life. Take the young. Why don't you just leave them alone? Okay. When you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. That way you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls off the roof. Well, there's a common sense idea, huh? You must not plant any other crop between the rows of your vineyard. If you do, you are forbidden to use either the grapes from the vineyard or the other crop. Wow. You must not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. You must not wear clothing made of wool and linen woven together. You must put 4 tassels on them, on the hem of the cloak, with which you cover yourself front, back, and sides. Now, I remember reading about that. They were called tzitzis or something like that. And they had to have 1 blue thread in them. And you'll still see those on a lot of very devout Israelites today. Regulation for sexual purity. Are you ready? Suppose a man marries a woman, but after sleeping with her, he turns against her and publicly accuses her of shameful conduct, saying, "When I married this woman, I discovered she was not a virgin." Then the woman's father and mother must bring the proof of her virginity to the elders as they hold court at the town gate. How do they do that? Her father must say to them, "I gave my daughter to this man to be his wife. Now he has turned against her. He has accused her of shameful conduct, saying, 'I discovered that your daughter was not a virgin. But here is a proof of my daughter's virginity.' Then they must spread her bedsheet before the elders." Yuck. The elders must take the man and punish him. They must also fine him 100 pieces of silver, which he must pay to the woman's father because he publicly accused a virgin of Israel of shameful conduct. The woman will then remain the man's wife, and he may never divorce her. Wow. Watch what you say, right? But suppose the man's accusations are true, and he can show that she was not a virgin. The woman must be taken to the door of her father's home, and there the men of the town must stone her to death. Oh, man, all this killing. For she has committed a disgraceful crime in Israel by being promiscuous while living in her parents' home. In this way you will purge this evil from among you. Wow. So you take the girl to their parents' house on her doorstep and kill her right there. Man. They're rough back then. If a man is discovered committing adultery, both he and the woman must die. In this way you will purge Israel of such evil. Well, if they did that today, there would be no adultery, huh? Suppose a man meets a young woman, a virgin, who is engaged to be married, and he has sexual intercourse with her. If this happens within a town, you must take both of them to the gates of that town and stone them to death. Man. The woman is guilty because she did not scream for help. The man must die because he violated another man's wife. In this way, you will purge this evil from among you. Boy, they meant business, didn't they? I tell you what. But if the man meets the engaged woman out in the country and he rapes her, then only the man must die. Rapes her. Got that? Do nothing to the young woman. She has committed no crime worthy of death. She is as innocent as a murder victim. Since the man raped her out in the country, it must be assumed that she screamed, but there was no one to rescue her. Wow. Suppose a man has intercourse with a young woman who is a virgin but is not engaged to be married. If they are discovered, he must pay her father 50 pieces of silver. Then he must marry the young woman because he violated her, and he may never divorce her as long as he lives. Well, that would fix things, wouldn't it? A man must not marry his father's former wife, for this would violate his father. Yeah, that's just kind of weird. I imagine that happens, but that's weird. Regulations concerning worship. If a man's testicles are crushed or his penis cut off, he may not be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. Wow. Even by accident? If a person is illegitimate by birth, neither he nor his descendants for 10 generations may be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. How's that, bastard children? Holy, 10 generations. Holy cow, that's like 500 years. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants for 10 generations may be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. These nations did not welcome you with food and water when you came out of Egypt. Instead, they hired Balaam, son of Beor, and Pethar, in distant Aram Naaram, to curse you. Wow. But the Lord your God refused to listen to Balaam. He turned the intended curse into a blessing because the Lord your God loves you. As long as you live, you must never promote the welfare and prosperity of the Ammonites or Moabites. Wow. Hate them forever. Do not detest the Edomites or the Egyptians, because the Edomites are your relatives, and you lived as foreigners among the Egyptians. The third generation of Edomites and Egyptians may enter the assembly of the Lord. I like that. Miscellaneous regulations. When you go to war against your enemies, be sure to stay away from anything that is impure. Any man who becomes ceremonially defiled because of a nocturnal emission must leave the camp and stay away all day. Nocturnal emission. Toward evening, he must bathe himself, and then at sunset, he may return to the camp. Okay, I don't know what a nocturnal emission is, but shall we look that up? That could be weird, huh? See what Bing says. A nocturnal emission is a spontaneous orgasm during sleep that includes ejaculation for a male or vaginal. Oh. Yeah, we call those wet dreams now, okay? Nocturnal emission, that's a wet dream. Okay. Bathe yourself, and at sunset, return to the camp. You must have a designated area outside the camp where you can go to relieve yourself. You know, I was wondering last night, did these guys ever go to the bathroom? Because they never talked about it. Well, here they are talking about it. You must have a designated area outside the camp where you can go to relieve yourself. Each of you must have a spade as part of your equipment. Take your equipment. Shovel, huh? Whenever you relieve yourself, dig a hole with a spade and cover the excrement. The camp must be holy, for the Lord your God moves around in your camp to protect you and to defeat your enemies. He must not see any shameful thing among you, or he will turn away from you. If God sees the poop, he's turning away. Okay. If slaves should escape from their masters and take refuge with you, you must not hand them over to their masters. Let them live among you in any town they choose, and do not oppress them. Wow. No Israelite, whether man or woman, may become a temple prostitute. Wow, that's common sense, huh? When you're bringing an offering to fulfill a vow, you must not bring to the house of the Lord your God any offering from the earnings of a prostitute, whether a man or a woman. A dog. For both are detestable to the Lord your God. Do not charge interest on the loans you make to fellow Israelite. Whether you loan money, food, or anything else, you may charge interest to foreigners, but you may not charge interest to Israelites, so that the Lord your God may bless you in everything you do in the land that you are about to enter and occupy. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, be prompt in fulfilling whatever you promised him. For the Lord your God demands that you promptly fulfill all your vows, or you will be guilty of sin. However, it is not a sin to refrain from making a vow. But once you have voluntarily made a vow, be careful to fulfill your promise to the Lord your God. Right? When you enter your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, but you must not carry away any in a basket. And when you enter your neighbor's field of grain, you may pluck the heads of grain with your hand, but you must not harvest it with a sickle. Yeah. So you can just... All right. So, there you go. That is 21 through 23. Lots of some interesting stuff in there. Okay. Interesting stuff you'll remember. Okay. And what's up for tomorrow? Let's see, more of the same. Men and women discovered. Wow, there's a lot of that. Now, what are they talking about? That they're taking up 2 chapters for? Got to go back to the bottom over here. Okay. Miscellaneous regulations. Okay. So lots of more miscellaneous regulations. And I'm going to know more about Israel law than I know about United States law when this is over. So more regulations. Harvest offerings and tithes. A call to obey the Lord's commands. The altar of Mount Ebal. Curses from Mount Ebal. And footnotes. So there you have it. That's 21 through 23. That's today's reading. Wow. So we learned a lot of stuff, eh? So strange stuff. Lots of rules. They did not put up with adultery of any kind. They killed them. Or you had to marry her and never allowed to divorce her. And if you mistreat her, they're going to kill you anyways. So I bet they didn't have a whole lot of problem with that kind of thing. But there you have it. That's day 77. Catch up on any you may have missed. You want to say you went through the entire Bible in a year. Something you won't forget. Oh, yeah, that's it. Have a good Sunday. Relax. Take it easy. See you tomorrow.